watch this?
How?
Ew,
How do you watch this? Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we give each other a movie to watch in the genre we love, but they don't. My name is Demi and I love horror.
My name is Megan and I love romance.
This week, I had Megan watch the wonderful movie Van Helsing, featuring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale.
Yes.
A classic from my childhood.
I feel like as I was watching it, I was like, I feel like maybe I did watch this as a kid because it's really not that bad. Like, it's really...
Yeah. It's pretty... Yeah, it's like horror, but it's more just like the movie monsters and kind of gimmicky type of style. But, I mean, some of it is because of the year it was made, but also... some of the directing, like watching it now, I'm like, why? What are all these sound effects? Like, what are some of the choices that they made with this movie?
We'll have to break it down a little bit more. So much happens in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a 2004 action thriller, PG-13, 2 hours, 11 minutes. It's long.
It is long. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, I started playing it at like 6 and it was like, it's going to be over at 8:15. What do you mean? How is my night gone?
And so I was like, Brett, you want to watch this with me? He's like, 2 hours. He's like, hell no.
Travis genuinely started it with me, watched an hour and a half and was like, I'm going to skip through the rest on my own on my computer. So he went upstairs and watched the ending, like fast forwarded.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, like, dude, the ending's the best part. I don't know why that's what you...
Right. You're missing out on all the good shit.
Yeah. And it was directed by Steven Sommers. Okay. Van Helsing begins with a black and white prologue set in 1887. And for a moment, I felt deeply embarrassed because I was like, wait, is this about Frankenstein? Is this not about vampires? And I was so worried. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made a fool of myself saying it was a vampire movie. And then in like 3 seconds, Dracula joins the gang on screen and proves me right. It is essentially... Dracula gave Dr. Frankenstein room and board as he worked on his mad experiments. However, Dracula was not a kind-hearted benefactor. He obviously had ulterior motives. And once Frankenstein's monster was brought to life, he just kills the doctor very dramatically. To cut a long introduction short, the monster was really sad by the loss of his quote-unquote father and presumably died in a catastrophic windmill fire. We also see that Dracula has 3 brides who transform into these white vampire bat creatures. And I will say the graphics are really good for 2004.
Like, they held up pretty well.
They did. I was impressed. And I don't know if you know, was it costume work or was it
for the vampire women?
Yeah.
So it was a mix of, they had their faces painted and they had a mocap blue suits in front of a blue screen so that their heads were kept, but the bodies were all CGI.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. It was well done. Like, it wasn't a lot of times with those older movies. This is actually exactly a 20-year-old movie with movies made in that era. You see really shitty CGI. So I was glad to see it was well done.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's like not great, but there's some where I was like, wow, this this looks pretty good.
Yeah. So fast forward 1 year and into the age of color television, apparently we're no longer
1 year later.
I thought it was gonna be like modern times because of the fact that it's in color and instead it's just a year later.
I literally forgot. I was like, it's just 1 year later? What do you mean?
Why was it in black and white then? Why? This is not ages ago.
I literally thought, I was like, oh, it's like 100 years later.
Yes, I was convinced, but no, of course.
Just to show that it was before.
Yeah.
Old.
Yeah.
Not that old, though.
So Van Helsing is introduced, and it's a swarthy Hugh Jackman with long hair and a bit of stubble. Yep. And
Extensions.
I was going to say, it has to be a wig, because there's no way that's his real hair.
Yeah.
It's way too luxurious.
Yeah, it's very luxurious. And he was also working on X-Men, one of the X-Men movies at the time too. So
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, he looks good. And I love the long hair, but there's also, my brain was having a really hard time where I was like, it's almost like his jaw is too sharp.
It doesn't feel like Hugh Jackman, right?
No, exactly.
Like it feels like a different person.
It's like a different actor.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like uncanny Hugh Jackman.
Yes, thank you. There is something off, and the whole time, I think he looks attractive, but I'm also, what's happening here?
Yeah, I think it feels like Hugh Jackman wouldn't be in this movie.
Yeah,
it's like Hugh Jackman, what are you doing here? You know?
Yes.
But he's gorgeous, but it does feel like he's out of place.
Yeah, I agree. There is something that just doesn't feel right with him in that role.
Yeah.
And it's also probably, 20 years after, and he's in so much stuff, and he has this he's become a big name. At that point, I don't think he really was a big name. He was just starting to build up his career.
Which he was supposed to be the Phantom in the Fantasy Opera movie, but he was working on this instead. I was like,
what? Get out.
Can you imagine? I definitely would have been Phantom Girl. 100%.
Insane.
But it's fine. We got this instead.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Okay. So Van Helsing is a wanted man because apparently the world doesn't understand monster hunters.
Right.
Which is wild. Like, essentially, he kills Dr. Jekyll / Mr. Hyde, who had killed over 13 people or something like that. And everyone's mad at him. Yeah. When this is, first of all, this is the late 1800s. They would not. They would be like, yeah, get rid of the murderer. They're not.
I think because when he fell,
he turned into a human being.
It was Dr. Jekyll, and I guess everyone's like, oh, we know that man. He's cool. And they didn't know of his evil side.
Yeah.
So
very true. Very true.
But, you're telling me you haven't ran into a vampire at least once or a gremlin. Like, they're out there.
Oh, he ends up smashing the rose window in Paris at some point, which is just, if you know Paris, you might have seen the gigantic stained glass. So it's like this iconic thing. Mm-hmm. And also during the fight scene with Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, we get a visual of a gigantic butt crack. I don't know if you noticed that.
A beautiful CGI butt crack.
Yes. What's the point of this?
There's some humor bits or why?
Yes.
What was this added? It's
some odd things.
Yeah, very at the times humor. So.
Yeah. Van Helsing proceeds to the Vatican, where there's apparently a secret order of monks who actively work towards peace on Earth. That means they have an armory of monster-killing tools such as silver stakes and crucifixes. And Van Helsing stocks up on those goodies, grabs the Friar Carl, and heads to Transylvania. It took me a while to realize that's what his name was, because I kept thinking, what are they saying? And then I looked it up, and his name was Carl, and I was, Carl?
Just Carl.
Right, his name's Carl.
He was named after someone. I forget who, but that's why they chose the name. I think it was the creator of the monster universe or something.
Oh, okay.
At Universal at the time or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I could be totally wrong. But he was named after someone. Either way, Carl is.
I'm sure the name Carl has been around for a while, but it doesn't feel like an 1880s name. It feels like a very 1950s name. Actually, let me look it up. It originates from Old Norse, so I think it's really old.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it is old. They're just not saying it like Carl.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pronouncing it in the way.
Carl.
I can only think of Walking Dead Carl, so it's ruined Carl for me.
I know.
So they head to Transylvania to get rid of Dracula. And at this point, we learn that Van Helsing has no recollection of his past and is hoping to find answers. Meanwhile, in Transylvania, Anna Valerius and her brother Velkin, which, what a mouthful of a name, Velkin Valerius.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Velkin Valerius. I didn't really think about that.
No. Also tell Brett that you want to name your first son Velkin, because...
What do you even think about the name Velkin. His middle name hilarious.
Yes, please and thank you. They're attempting to kill a werewolf. During the course of this action, Velkin falls off a cliff with the werewolf, and Anna deals with this very calmly. She's just kind of staring out over the cliff like, no.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, shucks. What?
Oh, shit.
Meanwhile, there's a lot of significance to this because their family line is one person away from being eradicated and stuck in purgatory for all time.
Yeah.
So the backstory to that is that Anna's great whatever was Dracula's papa, and he didn't have the nerve to kill his own child. So he swore to God that someone in his lineage would, in exchange for eternal life in heaven, kill Dracula. But if they failed, the family's trapped in purgatory for all time, which is like the lamest deal to make when you don't have the cojones to do it yourself.
You're just making your family deal with it. It's like, it's fine.
And
they'll deal with it.
I literally can't imagine. First of all, they could be the saneliest people in the world, and now they're all going to be stuck in purgatory because this one person in their family line couldn't get rid of Dracula.
Yeah, and now like you have to have a few family members that are willing to hunt. Like, trained to hunt to kill
Dracula. Because, like, would it be me? I'd be like, nah, I'm hanging in the castle.
Especially if I had to wear what Anna was wearing, dude.
No.
Her outfit slayed hard.
Yes,
but oh my God.
I literally write that in, like, in the next paragraph. My next sentence is... Van Helsing shows up in town and meets Anna, who's strutting around in heeled boots as if that's a sensible fighting outfit.
Yes, and a corset.
And a corset. Dude. No, I'm not fighting in those outfits.
That corset is crazy. Insane. It's like such a fire outfit. She's
great. She looks amazing.
She looks incredible. She's all glammed up. Her hair is styled.
Of course.
Dude. And she said she wanted to burn that corset after.
I'm not surprised.
It was a lot.
They actually like laced her up into it. It wasn't.
In a corset and
that's
heels.
Evil.
And I'm like, awful, dude.
I literally.
Yeah. Even later on, the dress she had at the ballroom scene was also corseted. So I had to swim in it. I'm like, dude, this poor woman. Because she also just came from the set of Underworld, which if you remember, also wore a corset.
God.
The thing, apparently.
Travis was talking about Underworld. He was like, it's really funny that she was a vampire in Underworld and then she was a vampire killer in this movie.
Well, that's what the director really wanted her, but he was like, she just did Underworld and it's too similar, but her agent sent her the script and she immediately signed on.
Really?
So she was just like, fuck it. I'm into that. So
cool. That's awesome.
Good for her.
Yeah. The vampire brides join the party, and we learn that Van Helsing is a bad shot. He's doing horrible. He is missing every single, like, he's not even getting a single shot in. I was like, how is this the renowned Van Helsing? He cannot.
Brett's like, he's like, it just seems like he's lucky. Like, he's not skilled. And I'm like,
yes.
Shut up. Also, that crossbow weighed 45 pounds.
No way. That's insane.
Hefty boy.
So he finally manages to kill one of the brides when he dips the crossbow in holy water, and this foils the plot of the other two brides who were attempting to kill Anna. Later that evening, Anna discovers her brother is actually alive, but he is a werewolf being used for Dracula's bidding. Van Helsing tries to kill him, but can't manage to do so. And then there's a super weird scene with a blonde dude in the graveyard, which I honestly do not understand the significance of it at all.
I never understood it when I was young, and then watching it now, I'm like, I still don't understand.
Okay, I was hoping you could give some insight, but it's literally nonsensical. Cool.
There's like no reason for it.
No.
At all.
Okay, great. So Anna tells Van Helsing she wants to find a werewolf cure, which Dracula supposedly has, and Van Helsing agrees. At this point, we learn that Dracula's big scheme is to use a monster as an electrical conduit to bring his sack babies to life. It works at first, with Velkin being used as the lightning rod, and they all, his little gremlin babies, go to feast on the townspeople, who, for whatever reason, all decide to go outside at this point in time. Why are you outside? It makes no sense. The friar saves a woman and then asks for sexual favors, which felt very icky. I
Dude, I was like, what did he whisper to her, honestly? Was it just like, sex, please? Like, she's like, oh, what could I do to repay you? And I'm like, please, stop.
Stop. And then she's like, but you're a monk. And he's like, I'm just a friar. And then she like gives this like saucy little like smirk. I'm like, if some dude whispered in my ear to repay him with sex, I would have picked him.
Yeah, I would have knocked his ass out.
Special place. Yeah,
I would have like, thank you, and ran away.
Yeah. Goodbye and never come back. So pretty quickly, the little gargoyle-looking offspring explode before they can cause harm. Van Helsing manages to strap Dracula, but he is unfazed and says, hello, Gabriel, which is our first hint about Van Helsing's true identity. Then Van Helsing and Anna escape and stumble upon Frankenstein's monster, who's still alive. And it turns out he is the only viable key for the vampire babies to survive. In hopes of saving the monster, who shows no signs of evil, and preventing Dracula from getting his way, they decide to take the monster to Rome. On their journey, the brides show up again and one of them gets killed. Anna's werewolf brother dies as well, and she blames Van Helsing, which is really weird because like 5 minutes earlier, she had turned to Van Helsing and been like, yeah, you're right, he's not actually my brother anymore and we can't save him. So that was super weird. And then
there's a lot of scripting issues, and we can talk about that later.
Yes. So then Van Helsing got bit by the werewolf and is doomed to turn in 2 days. The last vampire bride grabs Anna and says that she wants to trade her for the monster. Next up is a 2000s favorite, the Masquerade Ball.
Can't go wrong with a masquerade.
So Anna is held under a spell by Dracula, but then is awakened after a creepy kiss. All the kissing scenes in this movie are horrifying and are like very non-consensual, and I did not
very
like
2004.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of like open mouths, like like you know when you watch dogs fight, they like play fighting. That's what it looks like.
Dude, the vampire brides are like constantly doing that. I'm like, stop doing it with your mouth. What are you doing?
Weird. I hate it.
I feel uncomfortable.
Yes. So everyone else in the mansion is a vampire, which was a fun little twist. And Dracula wants Anna to be his bride, but of course, Van Helsing saves the day with more swinging from ropes. The amount of rope swinging that happens in this movie would make you think that people swing from ropes on the day-to-day. It is unbelievable. The monster, however, is found by the bad guys and taken back to the lair. The National Treasure-style trio finds the key to getting into the lair through connecting like a ripped passage onto a wall. But I looked up when National Treasure came out because I was like, this is the same sort of concept. It's the head guy who's super bright, and then the hot girl who is also kicks butt, and then it's the goofy sidekick. And they were
that's never changed.
No, I know
that's still a trope.
You're right. It's just a regular trope. I'm just in a National Treasure mindset because I watched it recently.
What year did that?
2004.
Oh, okay. So
same year.
It's all. I was gonna say like it had to be similar. Around the same year because it was like the thing for sure.
Yeah. So the monster is there, trapped in ice from the neck down.
Yeah, I don't know why
it was super weird.
My dude, why are you in there?
And then then the next scene we see him, he's like not in the ice anymore, so they must have like had blow dryers or something. Like, you know, eagles and blow dryers.
Like what are they called? Dretchen. They're like actually German folklore monsters. I forget what the names were, but they were like little critters.
Okay, so he tells them that a werewolf is the only thing that can kill Dracula, and there is an antidote. And he tells them to go get the antidote. So Van Helsing comes up with a plan. Anna and Carl are going to get the antidote, and he's going to let himself fully turn into a werewolf, kill Dracula, and then before the last strike of midnight, they're going to have to get him with the antidote, and if they're too late, they got to kill him. So, in rapid succession, because I am not describing the whole action sequence, Anna and Carl find the antidote and acid and go through various hijinks. The babies are officially awakened. Van Helsing releases the monster. Dracula and Van Helsing battle, during which Van Helsing learns about his past. Then he kills Dracula. Anna shows up with the antidote. Van Helsing attacks Anna. She manages to administer it, but dies in the process. Van Helsing turns back and is super sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the background for Van Helsing is that the Archangel Gabriel, who lived on Earth for many centuries, or is that he is the Archangel Gabriel, who lived on Earth for many centuries and was the person who killed Dracula and then somehow lost his memories. The movie ends with the monster sailing off on a raft and Carl and Van Helsing lighting the dead body of Anna on fire. Van Helsing sees a very cheesy image of Anna in the clouds with her family. Then he and Carl literally ride off into the sunset. The end.
The end.
The end.
It's so funny hearing you like tell the summary. It's like this movie is so all over the place. It's so funny.
It's everywhere. It's so crazy. But yes.
This movie. It's too much.
Yes. And I wrote down a couple notes of the goofy things that happen in the movie that we have to talk about.
Okay.
Because there's a lot that is just wild. Number one, in the first battle scene at Transylvania, a cow gets shot into a building, and I immediately go, "Oh my god, the poor cow!" And then at the end of the scene, we see it's just like chilling on a balcony. Okay,
he's alive. That's good.
Yeah. And then there was in that same scene, Van Helsing turns to Anna and says, "You're no good to me, dead." And I was like, that sounds so familiar to me. And it's a Star Wars line. So I was like, that has to be a purposeful tribute. But then nowhere online were they saying it was a purposeful tribute. So I was like, it has to be.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. Because it seemed like they took inspiration for the one line where Anna stabs the one vampire. She's like, if you're going to kill someone, do it.
Yeah.
Don't talk
the
about
accents. Yes.
And so that's supposed to be inspired by like other movies that have similar things where I think it was a Western. I forget.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the riding off into the sunset is done in a lot of Westerns, which I was trying so hard. I wanted to find a romance that had a ride off into the sunset moment at the end, but I couldn't.
There has to be one.
There has to be. And I was going crazy looking online and I couldn't find any. And I'm like, why has no one written it down? The only ones that I saw, because like even this one wasn't written. It was all like right off into the sunset were Westerns. And I'm like, there has to be a freaking romance somewhere that has that, because that is like such a trope.
Yeah. I mean, there are Western romances.
Yeah, I guess.
But you probably haven't seen all of them, right?
No.
You're not a Western girly.
No, I know you are, but
I love Westerns.
I know. It's too bad. I could have gotten a good one for you. There's a scene where Dracula wakes up with the most dramatic flourish. Did you catch that? Yes! I wasn't dead.
This was after his wife died, right?
Yes, after his wife died, he comes to life. Like, oh.
You know who that is, right?
The actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked him up, but I can't remember his name right now. What is
he was in Moulin Rouge. He was the
was he the
Duke, right?
The bad guy?
Yeah.
No way. Wow.
So that's where the flair comes from.
That's amazing.
But yeah, he looks so different. I had to like double check. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw when I watched Moulin Rouge. I was like, where have I seen this guy before?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, he's Dracula.
Yeah, that's wild.
Same, so
he did a really good job playing like the campiness up, which I really liked. I love the goofiness of the character. But I will say that Dracula was supposed to be 20 when he was killed. Like
he never looks young. Dracula always looks old as shit. It's like he shouldn't look old.
He should be this hot young thing. Come on.
I mean, what's the one Dracula movie that came out that didn't do that good? But Dracula it's not Unleashed. It's something like that. Let me see. It had what's his name who played Gaston in
in the modern Beauty and the Beast?
Yes. Dracula Untold. Okay, I was close. It wasn't that good, but he was a good Dracula.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, I thought he was pretty sexy for a Dracula, but yeah, I do wish he was younger. It is what it is.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, okay. Kate Beckinsale's eyebrow. Sorry, let me say it from the beginning. Kate Beckinsale's eyebrows are very 2004. I don't know why I had to make a note of it, but they were just like the skinny little pointy brows.
Yes. Her eyebrows and makeup were definitely not of that time. I'm like, she looks so out of place.
Yes.
Like, this is not accurate at all.
No, this is not. It is for sure like steampunk 2000s
Yes.
werewolf killer. Okay, let's take a moment to talk about the brother and his first transformation scene. Because first of all, so she sees that there's like this werewolf above her and she freaks out and runs away. And then next thing you know, her brother shows up with like torn clothes and you're like, okay, I know what he was.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I have to tell you, the secret to Dracula is and then he can't get the freaking words out. Which means he knows that a werewolf has to kill Dracula, but he never makes the attempt to do it.
Yes, that is something I was thinking about too. And like, I don't know if Dracula just has. Well, I'm like, what control does he have over him? You know,
right. He has to. I was a little bit confused about the whole Dracula werewolf thing because why was Dracula holding on to this freaking antidote? Why wouldn't he just get rid of it?
I guess just in case. I think he likes the idea of having a werewolf minion.
Yeah.
But if they were to turn on him, he could
get him. Okay. Okay.
So I guess he knew about the antidote and was like, I don't want to die, so I'm not gonna go against him. But it's also like, you might as well fucking try, homie. I don't know.
Right, for real.
You're like his slave.
Your
like, what
best
else
shot. You're gonna turn against your family instead of whatever. And so he also, I did kind of like the transformation. I've never seen it where they literally ripped their skin off.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of weird because Travis was like, he just turned and then he's turning back and I was swinging again. Like they do a weird thing where they have to be directly under the full moon. Yeah. Otherwise they turn back.
Yeah. It's a little inconsistent with that too. Yeah. They're definitely not always under the full moon.
No.
I mean, in the movie, it's like after 2 full moons, you're like forever a wolf. So, when he was turning, the director wanted something different because he wanted to seem like the beast was from within. So he's ripping his skin. And I think it's rad. I
like it. Yeah.
This is like my favorite werewolf transformation scene. And Brett was like, why is he crawling up the wall? I was like, because it's cool. I don't know. Like, it's fucking rad scene. I don't leave. Get out. Why are you not fun? Brett's so not fun.
No, I know.
He was hated so hard in this movie. And I was like, I know it's bad, okay?
Travis made fun of it a lot. And I was like, all right. Because he said to me, oh, this isn't even like a scary movie. And I was like, shut up. Demi's being nice to me.
It had some jump scares, okay?
Yeah, sure.
It counts. But yeah, I was like, it's goofy. Like, obviously, it's from 2004.
Right.
Like, yeah, I wish, part of me likes the cheesiness.
Yeah.
But there was something about it where, I don't know if it's just like the script.
Right.
But it just like, I don't know. Maybe I needed to go full camp and it wasn't going full camp.
For me, I think that if it had been like better written.
Yeah.
With like more of a solid storyline to it, it would have taken it up a notch for me because I liked the camp. I think the camp was fun. I think a lot of elements of it were good, but there were a lot of like dangling threads that kind of didn't really play through. Like they never really break down this whole Van Helsing being the...
Yeah, it's like, this man's been alive for centuries. Like, what do you mean?
Yes. That was really wild. And then I know there was a point where they were planning on doing a sequel, so maybe they had hoped to flesh that out more, but I would have rather seen a little bit of...
Yeah, I think they just threw too much into this.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we have all the monsters. Like, let's put them all into one. And it's like, y'all don't have to do that. Like, focus on one. Yeah, I enjoyed all of them in it, but it just was really too much. And I think it being PG-13 didn't help either. I think if it was rated R and it was like more gritty, I think it would have been better. Because it did really bad in box office. They were bad. So.
Yeah. Travis was saying that this was like a PG movie, and I was okay. Yeah, it's not really.
No, there was really not much at all, honestly.
No.
So.
in the next scene after where Dracula's talking to the werewolf, he knew that Velkin had been talking to his sister, which I don't know how he knew that. That was another loose thread that they don't go into. There's also a scene where Dracula is waltzing by himself. I just had to point that out because I love that. That's phenomenal. Okay. Go off, I guess. And there's the scene where they first find all these like disgusting sacks hanging.
Oh.
Van Helsing takes off his glove with his teeth and then proceeds to shove his bare hand into it and throw goop. In the world's longest scene, they could have cut this scene. It was a solid 45 seconds of him pulling goo out of the sack.
Yeah. Why would you take the gloves off?
Why would you take the gloves off? Right. Right. And I think he was like struggling to break it with his glove on. He has all these weapons on him. You could have used any pokey sharp thing.
Yeah.
And then scooped it. I don't.
And also, how are the brides laying these eggs?
Yeah,
laying them? Like what?
I visualized it like they gave birth to the sack, but who knows?
I don't like a ton of sacks.
There's tons of sacks, and then they said at one point that like all of the first sacks that went off, they said was from one bride after one mating. How does she lay 500 sacks after one mating? Like,
I'm just imagining the queen from Alien 2, where it's just the giant like fucking cord and just plopping fucking eggs out. Something like that.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, because I was like, wait.
Yeah.
How is this done?
Yeah.
Mating
session, yeah, this doesn't make any sense.
Like Twilight all over again.
Yeah. And then we have to talk about the acrobatics because I don't understand the amount. I was literally like, maybe I should make The Greatest Showman be the next movie.
All the flips.
There's so many acrobatics. It's like nobody has those skills,
dude,
in any era.
She was like the scene where the werewolf cage comes up and she like backflips from it. It's like so unnecessary.
No, it's just extras. She has to do multiple backflips throughout the.
Yeah, they had her like doing those stunts herself. They had her on fucking rope just flipping her ass.
My God, like, there's no reason for it.
And she was doing it. Like she said she was used to, like from Underworld, she had that experience. And dude, I'm like, I give her props. Like she is honestly amazing for doing all those flips, flying. Like the whole village scene, they made these camera rigs that were huge, like tall as shit, so they can before drones like have the camera like drone in to look make it look like it's flying. And like when she's flying up, she's like being held by string, and Hugh Jackman's being held by string, and I was like, dude, this is so much.
Dude,
they really put them to work with this movie.
Yes, for no reason, because it's like very comical with the amount of times they're swinging from things. Like there's tons of times where there's ropes going. And this leads me into my most memorable scene, which is the absolutely unrealistic antidote throw that happened between Carl and Anna.
That was insane. She's like, throw it to me. As Carl, I'd be like, are you fucking crazy? Right. It's gone. What do you like?
No, absolutely not. I'm with my throwing capabilities.
Yeah.
I would have thrown it.
Yeah, I'd be like, well,
in the opposite direction. Yes.
He's dead.
Grab my body, swing me over the bridge. Or there was still plenty of bridge. He could have crawled over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he eventually does. But she's swinging, holding one hand, and yelling to Carl to throw this antidote at her. And she just catches it in one hand. Like, I'm like, wow.
It's unbelievable. And as someone who in high school had to do the rope climb for, did you have to do the rope climb?
Yes.
Dude, like the most embarrassing 5 minutes of your life. Horrible. It's so
only go
hard.
Off, like
just a couple.
A smidge off the ground.
And then I'm like, cool. My entire class is watching me do this, and I have no upper arm strength. This is super embarrassing. And like here she is, like barely holding onto this rope. And doing all
it's so funny. The whole movie, she's thrown everywhere, like thrown into walls, into concrete.
She has to have so much brain damage.
Yes, and then at the end, Hugh Jackman just pouncing her was enough to kill her. I was like,
right.
No,
Right.
I've seen her go through walls. Okay?
It was the most anticlimactic death, and I was convinced she wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
Because there was no way, but apparently she was. He could have at least shown him like ripping her throat out or something. Like,
well, it was PG-13.
Well, fair enough.
But
But
it was R, maybe would have been a little bit more violent, but
that is my deleted scene, is Anna dying, because I don't really think there was a reason for it. Like, they're like, I guess, showing that all the family made it to heaven or whatever, but it was like, it was unnecessary. Whatever.
Like, the only cool thing about it was Hugh Jackman's transformation. Like, that was cool, but it's like, why did they kill her? Like, there
wasn't a purpose. And and so he gets to live as like Gabriel on Earth, and her family line's gone. Like, I don't get it. No.
Yeah, the scene where he's like holding her and like howling and turning back to himself, he was actually naked. And and they were like, it's too distracting. So they CGI'd some stuff over his butt. Like,
amazing.
Like, as I was watching, I was like, I don't think it would have been super distracting, but like, maybe, and they didn't want to take away from her death, which I get.
I get it.
But I don't think it would have. Like, it's not like it's like a full fucking full ass. Like,
no.
I
don't remember his clothing, whatever. So
it was just a little loincloth, little Tarzan going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was literally just to show, they're all in heaven now.
Yep.
Cool.
Great.
I guess if Gabriel or Van Helsing's living forever, she'd eventually R.I.P. So.
Right, but like, I don't know, it's dumb. They had like one kiss.
Her family line.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty
gotten her with child, had a demigod baby or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
family line was already fire.
Yeah,
Van Helsing's much?
I know. I don't know. I disagree with that aspect of it. It was dumb.
They still could have had him like howling and stuff, and then she's like,
yeah, right. I thought she was gonna like cough awake, you know, and then maybe they do some sort of ceremony and see that her family's in heaven, if that's so necessary.
Yeah, at the wedding they turn.
Yes. Yeah, winking down, smiling down. Nice. I don't know if you noticed, but like her in heaven has like a tear rolling down her face in the clouds. Like, bro, what?
It's so cheesy.
I hated that.
But yeah, they wanted to do sequels. They wanted to do multiple movies, like a universe, and like, it's cool. I love the monster universe, like that idea of, Van Helsing and all the monsters. But sucks that didn't continue. But also, I see why.
Yeah. Yeah, think, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, I think if you want something good and similar, Penny Dreadful is a very good TV show that is very similar in style, but it's definitely rated R.
Okay.
Not appropriate for children. A lot of crazy shit in that show, but that show was so good.
Really?
But I will say it ended so bad because they had to rush it.
Oh, I hate that shit.
They had to rush it, and genuinely, the show was so good, and I was like, how dare they?
I'm so over showrunners and like all the decisions that get made, and I'm feeling like really,
it's like upsetting, genuinely. And so this came out 2014.
Okay.
I think you'd like it. It's horror, but it's like very drama story.
Yeah,
it's not really like jump scare horror.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole thing with My Lady Jane.
Dude, it literally.
Dude, they said that they canceled it because it didn't make the top 10 of streaming.
Yeah.
But it's like across all platforms. It's not just Amazon.
Know. So how do you expect it to reach that when they didn't have a marketing budget, basically? And the Olympics were on at that time.
I didn't know anything about the show until you told me. I would have never known anything about the show.
I only knew anything because I saw one TikTok about it. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I have nothing to do right now. Let me check out this thing. And I watched it. That's the only reason. I'm like, livid.
It's so shitty. And I saw this other, not to drift away from Van Helsing, but I saw this other TikTok where they were saying that a lot of first season of shows don't do that good. Like The Office and Parks and Rec, don't have great first seasons, but then the second season was really good because they worked on what people didn't like. And My Lady Jane was good. Like, I haven't finished it yet, but like I'm enjoying it, so it's already a good season.
Yes.
And so it's like really unfair to just cancel, and I feel like that's happening so much. It's just like one season up, Sorry.
We're done. And people were like, yeah, you're also comparing it. Like, if you're doing cross-platform, you want it in the top 10, and you're going against shows that have multiple seasons where they already have a following. That's not fair.
Exactly. Like, on Prime, I could definitely see My Lady Jane being top on Prime.
Yes.
Top 10 for sure. But, like, across, it's like, dude, that's like, unfair.
And
it's competing with, like, House of Dragon and shit.
Right. It makes me so mad because it's genuinely a good show. It, like, after we had the catastrophe of season 3 Bridgerton, it was like,
it's a nice.
Yes, you have like that kind of Regency sort of like vibe, but there was a little fantasy in it, which is so fun. And it was just like, it was just different and interesting. And I haven't had a show like catch me and like drag me in that quickly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we're over it. I'm over you.
Dude, it's always shows that are like unique or different. Any show that dares to do something different, it's like, oh, canceled. Sorry. Sorry,
Meanwhile,
it's not House
there's
fucking...
Yeah, it's season 500 of Love is Blind where everyone's just had plastic surgery out the wazoo. Like,
there's so many other shows where I'm like, we don't need all these seasons. I would have rather take a second season of any of these shows that fucking deserve it.
Yes.
So, it's a shame. I hope maybe somewhere else.
I'm crossing my fingers that, because that's what people were saying, you know, certain shows get canceled and then they bring them back. So, like, what was it? Lucifer was brought back, even though it was supposed to get canceled. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I'm hoping that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Not based on a book, is it?
It is. It's based on a young adult series.
Oh, maybe I'll start reading it then.
I know, that's what I was thinking too. I know, that was the worst part. It's like, oh, it's about kids. Like, I want.
What do you mean?
No, I know. Where's my spicy scenes?
Maybe I'll make it though.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it too, but then we'll see. We'll see.
Anyway,
whatever. That's the My Lady Jane tangent for the day.
Yes. So support TV shows. Support creative TV shows.
Yes. Watch My Lady Jane and put forth a protest.
Yeah. Start a petition. Honestly.
Yeah, seriously.
But...
Anyway, Van Helsing, main character. Smash. Even though it was like weird with him being that character, like Smash, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's still fine.
I'm
of course gonna smash Van Helsing.
Yeah, Hobby. Main villain, pass. If they had done a young, hot Dracula, maybe. Dude,
you're telling me
he was not hot as Dracula. Okay. You can't.
No, listen, but the potential to be one of those brides.
Okay, the brides were hot. They were really attractive.
Dude, their outfits
were awesome.
Fire. You get to be like a fucking genie looking woman.
Yeah,
and then turn into like a bat woman.
Okay, but you want to share this gross ass slick back hair man
he
with
wasn't
two other women?
He was not. He was not.
No, he was not.
He was handsome, but he looks older. He's definitely too old to be playing.
He was too old to be playing Dracula. He was in his 40s, which is fine, but like. If he was 20, I'm sorry, but if he was a 20-year-old, looking, that sounds creepy.
Yeah, you're 30,
delete that.
You're 30, okay? You're closer to his age then.
Well, actually, I'm right in between, but no, you're right. 40 is not old. It's just that he didn't look a hot 40 for me.
Was he definitely 40?
40 something? Yeah, I looked it up.
I mean, he had to be like, but I wasn't sure if it was definite.
I mean, I don't have anything wrong against older guys. Like, you know me, Chris Evans is but I just
feel like if the opportunity is there to bang Dracula,
also,
you should take it.
I'm also not giving up my soul for Dracula. Like, that's another thing. If it was like a I stayed human thing, I still wouldn't do it. I just don't find him hot. I don't. I'm sorry.
Dude. And you call yourself a vampire girly.
I mean, it's different to be a vampire girly when the vampires are, like, you know.
Disagree.
I
disagree with you. I disagree with you. It's fine.
Anyway, would I survive 1 through 10? I gave myself a 2. I do not have high hopes for myself. I cannot backflip. I know that I would fall off a rope swinging.
Especially if I was wearing that outfit, I'm not lasting long.
No, within a couple minutes, my feet would be hurting. I'd be walking barefoot in the woods. I would get a splinter, get an infection, and die. Like, it wouldn't even be the werewolf that takes me out. It wouldn't be a vampire. I would natural causes.
Natural causes would take me out. I would catch whatever fucking illness is around.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not survive any situation. I could be a villager, and I would still probably die because they're all dirty.
I would have hid inside all day, all the time. And then once the vampires came out during the day, which somehow they managed to come out during the day, which was weird.
Because the clouds were covering the sun.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, God, so dumb. It's like at that point, I probably would have died.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whatever. Recommend to a non-horror fan. Yes, I would recommend it. I don't find it that scary. I actually gave it a scariness rating. I feel like I should start giving a scariness rating because I was thinking to myself, my ratings are going to be for people who are not horror lovers to go into these. But if it's somebody who wants something really scary, I want them to know what the scariness level is. So the scariness of this one is a 1.
It's bad.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't give it 0 because I was like, romances are really the true 0 here. But it's a 1. It's at the bottom of the scale. It's not scary at all. I don't think there was a single scene that got me. Which was great. I loved that for myself.
Yeah.
So
I think the only scene that like could get you maybe was like Hyde popping in at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But like that's it. That's
my actual rating. This is hard. So
don't be shy.
I'm gonna first tell you what Travis's rating was. He rated it a 3.
Really? Okay.
So he rated it a 3. Now I keep going back and forth between these two, and I'm going to go with my initial, because you know me, I'm very heart-centered. I have an initial thought. I'm going to go with my initial one, and then I'm going to tell you my other one that I was thinking and give you a reason. So I gave it a 4.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yes, which is higher than my secondary thought, which was like a 3.75.
Okay.
Because of the storyline aspect of it. Like, that's really what took it down for me. Was the fact that there were all these loose ends and various things that don't connect well. But I liked the campiness. I thought it was a fun story. I feel like it had a lot of potential. It just didn't get all the way there.
Yeah, I think for me, like, this feels like a guilty pleasure. Like, could be a cult classic, maybe. Type of movie, and I would just watch it for fun. You know, like, it's not good, but there's definitely cool stuff about it, you know. Like I love the werewolf transformation scene. I think that's really rad. The vampire, the brides are sick. Like they're fucking rad as hell. And Hugh Jackman's fun, and of course Kate Beckinsale is gorgeous. So there's a lot to like and enjoy, but you have to just watch it knowing it's not gonna be good. And I think Brett is too harsh on it.
Yeah, Travis was the same. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate it for what it is. Which is, I know it's like a trashy movie, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like I wish there could have been more. I don't know if they would have been good at all. Like they probably would have been worse. But I wish there was more. I would have loved to see more. But
yeah, I think they could have really made it a shorter movie. If they had made it like 30 minutes shorter and then removed some of the unnecessary plot points and added in more bulk to the main storyline, it would have been better.
Yeah, I would have removed either the werewolves or Frankenstein's monster. Like I would have focused more
I don't think
on
I don't think the werewolves were like necessary.
It was only
or Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, it kills Dracula, but it's like other things could have done it, you know?
Yeah,
and then Frankenstein, he was just for the power. And I'm like, but they were zapping the werewolf. Like, I don't know. It's like
they could have figured out something. It was like it wasn't fully thought out all the way.
Yeah. And they could have done something different other than like, oh, we want to birth our children. Like it could have been a completely different plot point. And they didn't need power. So
Right. Agreed.
But yeah. I'm trying to see. I don't think I have anything that wasn't already said.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. So
I came into this with an idea of what I wanted to give you for a movie.
Okay.
But there's actually like 3 that I could choose, and I am having decision-making paralysis at this point in time because I'm like, they're all good choices, and the choices completely change your reaction. So one of them is a movie I know you didn't like. One of them is a movie that I know you hated. And one of them is a movie that I know you've watched, but I don't know your reaction to it.
Okay.
And so I'm like, what do I want to give you?
Hated how? Hated because it's sad? I don't want that one.
No.
Okay.
You hated this movie because it was not at all what you had wanted or hoped for.
Okay, interesting. I'm like trying to think of all these like romances I've seen. There's not a lot, and I.
Yes. Okay. Both of okay. Oh, I'm like trying to figure out how to figure this out. 2 of them are remakes, kind of. One's a remake. The one you hated is a remake. A live action remake. Then Did you figure it out?
Is it Beauty and the Beast?
Uh-huh. Which is like
it's funny I brought it up.
Yes.
And then I didn't hate it.
Yeah, you didn't love it.
I mean, yeah, I would have a lot to talk about with that one.
You brought up another one that was an option as well.
Really?
And this is one you didn't like. It's not a remake, but it's the making of a musical.
Is it The Greatest Showman?
No, I brought that one up.
How did I break up? It's a musical?
What was Hugh Jackman supposed to be in?
Oh my god, Phantom of... Oh man.
Yes. And then the final one was A Cinderella Story.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, with Drew Barrymore, right?
No.
Oh,
Hilary Duff.
Hilary Duff, dude. That movie fucking slaps. Are you kidding me?
So, I've given away the 3. I'm gonna actually let you choose.
Oh, what would be the most interesting to discuss? Cinderella Story would be funny because I just know it's bad, but I love that movie. I feel like I want to go with A Cinderella Story.
That's the one that I was gonna come in with to have you, but then I was like, you know what? You mentioned Beauty and the Beast and Phantom of the Opera, and all of a sudden I was like, I'm paralyzed because these are also good options.
Yes.
It changes like they actually all have the same. Just kidding. So they all have the same through line. So
okay. I mean,
the same common thread. You can figure it out. So the story is A Cinderella Story. I knew Demi would be really excited about this because Demi loves a good Cinderella remake. We have watched a number of them together. Somehow we always end up watching Cinderella remakes when we have movie nights.
It's so good.
We've seen a few
so good.
horrible ones, horrible recreations. The amount of times that sneakers are worn instead of heels is abysmal.
I think Hilary Duff does wear sneakers in this one too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she does.
I think it was like was she the first to really bring it into
I'm
light?
pretty sure.
I feel like I had to.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll give her. I'll let it slide.
Yeah, she can have a pass on this. So essentially, A Cinderella Story is a Cinderella remake in the early 2000s, where our friend, our music idol, Hilary Duff, plays as the Cinderella character. She lives with her stepmom and stepsisters, and essentially it's a modern age of texting and whatever. I forget how she ends up meeting this Prince Charming or whatever.
He's a football player, right?
Yeah, he's a football player.
I remember.
It's Chad Michael Murray. He was
it.
Yes, he was it. So, they go to a masquerade ball. He meets her, but doesn't like get to really get to know who she is, and then he's trying to find her and doing it because he got her like phone or her Zune or something like that. Like
it wasn't a beeper, right? It was like her phone.
No, I'm pretty sure it was an MP3 player of some sort, and he was like, "What's your top 3? What's your top 3 most played music?" or something like that. Is that it, or is that a different Cinderella remake?
I might be. Say it was something like that. Yeah.
That also could have been. There was a Cinderella one with Selena Gomez that had a similar like thing. Anyway.
They're so good. They're so good.
So good. So it's all about her trying to get him to know it's her or whatever. Yep. I probably butchered that. It's been a few years since I watched it. It hasn't been that long since I watched it, but it's been a few years. It's a classic Cinderella movie, and it is what it is. It's fun. One of the first like modern retellings of it, I would say. Nah, maybe not. I don't know.
I would say so. Like one that was like pretty different, you know?
Yeah, because it was like in the age of cell phones and stuff. I feel like everything else was like retellings of it in fantastical era.
Right. It wasn't like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was obsessed with this movie. I was like,
I know. I watched it so many times, dude. And especially because you're like a teenager or a preteen, and you're like, Chad Michael Murray is Babu.
I want to walk into a dance with a mask on and be like the coolest person in the room.
Of course. The
dream.
So that's what you're watching.
Cool. I'm excited.
Thank you for your help in picking out the movie. Sorry if that was the most chaotic ending to an episode ever, but
no, it was fine. It was fun. So
good.
Exciting stuff. I can't wait. Anyway, signing off. You can find us online, social, Instagram, TikTok. Forgot for a second. How do you watch this? How do you watch? Or you can email us at howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. So we'll see you next week.
See you then. Bye.